Welcome back to WagerTalk.com. I'm Marco D'Angelo, joined in studio today with Bryan Leonard, and we're going to discuss some baseball handicapping, and we're going to start with talking about using bullpens in your handicapping with Major League Baseball. Obviously, Bryan, baseball centered so much around the starting pitcher, but because baseball's become almost robotic with the managers anymore, it's like, my starter goes 6, maybe 7. Then we make the call to the bullpen. We get the setup guy in the 8th and the closer in the 9th. You got to change your handicapping a little bit in regards to baseball. It's not like the old days. If it ain't broke, you don't fix it.
Yeah, speaking of the old days when starters used to go the full game, now I believe they average about 5 2/3 innings at starting pitcher. So that's a little over half the game, almost 2/3 of the game. You got to take a look at that bullpen. And one thing, I've talked about this before, is one of the things I use on sportsdatabase.com. One of our colleagues, Ed Meyer, he runs that site, and you can do some searches for different things that I like to think of something, I wonder what, and then go in and take a look at it. And one of the things I use is if a bullpen goes at least an inning, it doesn't give up a run, it's got a very good record. So it points you, it doesn't give you an automatic winner, but it points you on a good situation. And that's league-wide, and there's certain teams that are even better at it than others. I mean, take a look at the Yankees now, 7th, 8th, and 9th guys. I mean, the other day they faced 9 guys, struck out 7 in the same game. So once you get to that part, you got a pretty good chance. So that's one of the things I always take a look at. And, there's websites out there that'll tell you how many pitches a guy threw they follow the bullpens. Right. And that's something you got to do, because if a bullpen gets imploded, like it did yesterday in Tampa Bay, and the starter gets crushed, and it sets them up for tough games after that.
Right. It's a domino effect with your handicapping, because if you're following the bullpens, obviously you're following it for that day for what you're doing with your play. Now, if you've got a bullpen that got used the day before and you're fearing that you're not going to get the closer if you need him today, there's ways around that too. If you're handicapping, if you think that your starting pitcher is going to do the job for you versus the opposing starting pitcher, you could go to the 5-inning wager and then eliminate having to deal with the bullpen, take it out of the equation. There's a lot of times that I'll do that if the bullpen, if I'm not sure I'm going to be at full strength because they use the guy, maybe 2 days in a row or 3 of the last 4. It's a situation you can do that. Also, if you have a team that you just don't trust the bullpen, you want to, look at maybe going 5 innings. And then, of course, if you're playing a team, now, what hasn't been this year, but like last year, it was almost a lock. If Kansas City got to the 7th inning, game over. If they had the lead, you weren't scoring on them. So rather than take a full game proposition against Kansas City, if you were betting against Kansas City, the value might have been better to go first 5 innings and not have to deal with the bullpen at all.
Yeah, you definitely have an advantage. That the problem is the linesmaker knows that, and he makes you pay for it. And I'll tell you just how important the bullpens are. Just a few years ago, the Mets had the worst bullpen ever. Now they've got a decent bullpen, and now they're a World Series contender. You just got to pay attention to the bullpens. We talked in the past about days of the week where certain guys would rest. You need to know who's going to be in the lineup. Obviously, a lot of times they don't announce that early, but you've got a good idea who's going to be available coming out of the bullpen that night. And if a team blows out a lot of those relievers from the night before, that starter has to have a long appearance. And if he's not a top starter, there could be a lot of runs scored against him.
Yeah, and that's a great point for guys that maybe don't look at the games as far as picking the side, but that sets you up for the totals if you understand the rotations of the bullpen and who has been used and how have they been used, what's going to happen the next night. And like you said, a starter may be forced to go an extra inning. He could be on the ropes in the 4th or 5th inning that in a normal game, the manager's going to run out there and get him. Instead, he's going to take them out. He's going to leave them out there, and that might, be the difference in an overplay.
And I know we're running along, but I just wanted to touch on live betting too. Live betting, as that game goes on, and who's available. That's a huge advantage in live betting.
Absolutely, great stuff as always, Bryan. And guys, don't forget, weekend all access. You can get all of our plays. Pick your favorite capper. Get all of their plays Thursday through Monday for just $69 every week at WagerTalk.com. That's it for this video. We'll be back with more here at WagerTalk.com.